Welcome, my friends, to another episode of Tarot Tuesday with your host, Reverend Adam Hayden. This is Season 1, Episode 8, and I'm amazed at just how far I have come in the brief period of time since I started doing Tarot Tuesday beginning at the beginning of this year. I've seen many things happen. I've gained so much wisdom and inspiration from my patrons, my clients, and them over there, the allies and friends I have made in the unseen world. My ability to bring content to teach the joys of fairy traditionalism and unlearn the unwisdom of our current culture keeps me strong, keeps me dead set towards the goals I wish to bring to those who feel called to what I have to present. And so this Tarot Tuesday is very important to me. I have found that my work with them over there, the Ondadian, familiar spirits in very familiar places, that my ability to present these various shows and influences, that I am indeed following what I feel is my calling. And I think everyone is beginning to feel this in their own lives. And so, bringing this Tarot Tuesday to you today on the 6th of April is a very powerful time. The cards I picked this week, I think, kind of encapsulate everything that we have gone through in the last year and a half. So, as many people know, I kind of bounce around when it comes to the various tarot decks that I use for my Tarot Tuesday. I think it is very important that we utilize as many tools as possible, particularly different types of tarot decks, because it allows us to view things from another person's perspective. And so, as much as we can learn about the symbolism within the tarot, we have to realize that each tarot is designed to have certain symbolism that is unique to it. And so, I tend to balance between two different tarot decks right now. I utilize the Green Witch Tarot by An Moira, and I utilize the Llewellyn Tarot from Anne Marie Ferguson. Now, the reason I sit there and I use these two decks primarily is I'm a Welsh witch. My work is within a Mabinogion and with the Brythonic deities of my ancestors. But this does not preclude me from using other symbolism, for I have 30 plus years within the occult and witchcraft community. And so with the Green Witch, we bring it back down to a whole. It is more geared for the next phase of Earth's evolution, particularly going back to the ancient harmonies, the matriarchal viewpoint. And so it is more balanced in its tone and in its symbolism. This week, I've decided, or my familiar spirits have decided, that we're going to go ahead and use the Llewellyn Tarot deck. So the three cards that I picked this week, the first one is the Seven of Cups. This is the Llewellyn Tarot deck as designed by previous named authoress. Now, the Seven of Cups tells us that these cups are filled with various gifts. Some cups bear desirable gifts, such as jewels, a wreath of victory, but others hold gifts that are not gifts at all. Instead, they are curses, such as the snake or the dragon. Clouds and cups symbolize man's wishes and dreams, and the different gifts inside that suggest that you need to be careful what you wish for, as not everything is as it seems. Choices need to be made, but in doing so, you must go beyond the illusion and allure and instead focus on what's right for you. And so, since the beginning of the pandemic, many people are starting to realize where their callings are, what drives them and makes them who they authentically are. And, excuse me. And with everything that we've gone through, we've had to make certain sacrifices. One of those sacrifices is how we were going to manage our financial prosperity during these tough and very trying times. So the Seven of Cups is telling us, particularly in the last week, be careful what you wish for. You just may get it. And what you're getting may not be exactly what you are wishing for. And we're beginning to see that. One of the things we are beginning to see, and I know everyone's been worried about this, is our economic situation as a country. I am in the United States, and we have our own particular issues that we are dealing with. One thing that I do agree with my Republican colleagues is that with this increased spending, there's going to be a huge debt. And of course, this will always come and bite us in the ass in the terms of inflation. But the thing is we need to move from a certain paradigm. We live in a capitalist society, which is basically, as it's come to be for us, is very much a class issue. Those who have more get more, and those who do not suffer the consequences of such. Recently, we have seen here in the United States the giving of stimulus packages directly to the citizens, unlike previous years where it was given to those who had big money, a la the trickle down theory. This span around of financial crises, we have done the opposite. We've pretty much gone from the bottom to the top, and we've seen amazing growth. There's been situations in which entire communities have received a stimulus of some sort and would determine how they spent it and what they achieved. Now, those communities have seen that the people invested this money to build up their own businesses. And this is what I bring back to the Seven of Cups. We have seen blessings and we've seen curses with the giving of money. Now, the illusion that we have to realize is that this money comes from a source, which comes originally from the people. So the thing is, are we really being given all these gifts, or in the long run, are these going to be curses? Now, for me personally, this mentioned about the concept of snakes and dragons as being curses. Honestly, to me, dragons have never been curses. In fact, I utilize the dragon in almost everything I do. A Dragon's Voice, one of my shows, is geared to the propagation of what this dragon really symbolizes, and that is wisdom. That is the ancient harmonies. That is the great mother herself. That is the spirit within us and the blood coursing through the veins. That is the various strands of our existence. And so, in the longer run, to be a dragon was to have clear sight. And many of those of my brothers and sisters within the Dragon Court, you will understand this. The clear sight is that we look beyond the temporary consequences of a greater term solution. And so there are many Republicans primarily that view this giving of money to the people is in the end going to hurt our whole society altogether. And the thing is that yes, there will be curses involved in the giving of gifts, but there are also blessings in the long term. We need to look beyond the financial aspects and look at the greater whole. My fellow Democrats, you guys understand this, and that we understand that we all have dreams and authentic visions of where we want to hold ourselves. The previous paradigm is focused on keeping us in our niches and our crannies. And these stimuluses have been able to show that where our heart is, that's where our money goes. And so this kind of leads us to the next card. The next card that I picked, with the aid of my familiar friends, is the Knight of Pentacles. Now, in most decks, the Knight of Pentacles sits on a stationary draught horse, carefully looking at the gold coin held in his hand. He is in no hurry, preferring to assess and plan his path ahead before taking action. Now, in the background of most cards, there is a broad field that has been plowed rough row by row, symbolizing that this knight is ready and willing to do the work to realize his dreams, even if it is repetitive and dull. Now, many of us have decided that, there are many different ventures that we utilized these stimuluses for, and that we have pushed to symbolizing in concrete forms where we want our reality to go. So the Knight of Pentacles is saying that you've already plowed the field. Now it is time to plant those seeds. And I've mentioned almost in every one of my Tarot Tuesday episodes the importance of planting seeds. The seeds that we plant, whether of physical sort or of a more metaphysical sort, will determine what we will get in the end. And so the Knight of Pentacles is telling us that it is time to assess what little bit of money we have left over after paying our bills from the beneficence of where we've received the money, and how will it help us in the longer term. So we're not looking at the quick, I'm going to get a gaming computer so I can play all these games. We are looking at what is the longer term benefit of using this money for a longer term goal, because we don't know where life is going to head. Even with vaccines being put out, we do not know where the future is going to head. And so remembering this will allow us to plant those seeds appropriately. Sometimes certain seeds take a certain amount of time to germinate. And it's the same thing with our dreams and goals. So this reading so far seems to be very much focused on personal development, particularly towards financial success in the long run. And there's a reason for that. Because in the near horizon, and now those who don't know, my Tarot Tuesdays cover about a week period of time. These are not usually focused on the great longer term. This tarot reading seems to really focus on that, is that now is the time to be very mindful of what we are doing in the longer term future. And so the card that I picked for this one was, unfortunately, and my tarot reader friends will sit there and verify this, is the Tower card. And the Tower card, of course, symbolizes what was mentioned in Christian scripture about the Tower of Babel. And we know what happened with that idea. Basically, that mankind had one simple language, and they were building a tower up to heaven to be with God or whatever. And so, in punishment through their arrogance, God strikes it down and confuses their language, and hence where we get the term of like Babel fish and stuff. comes from the Tower of Babel mythos. Now, the tower shows a tall tower perched on the top of a rocky mountain. Lightning strikes, set the building alight, and two people leap from the windows. Head first, arms outstretched, it is a scene of chaos and destruction. Now, the tower itself is a solid structure, but because it is built on shaky foundation, it only takes one bolt of lightning to bring it down. It represents ambitions and goals made on false premises. Now, the lightning represents a sudden surge of energy and insight that leads to a breakthrough or a revelation. It enters via the top of the building and knocks off the crown, symbolizing energy flowing down from the universe through the crown chakra. The people are desperate to escape from the burning building, not knowing what awaits them as they fall. Around them, in a lot of decks, are 22 flames, representing the 12 signs of the zodiac and 10 points of the tree of life, suggesting that even in times of disaster, there's always divine intervention. And in my deck, this is talking about Bala Lake. Now, I'm not going to go into the myth of Bala Lake because my familiar spirit is just whispered in my ear, sat there and wanted to mention about the Tower of Vortigern. Now, as a Welsh witch, there are many tales of Merlin or Myrddin as a child and why he was so important to the Welsh Celtic traditions. And this had to do, his first mention, and this has been kind of mixed in with other mytho-history concerning that Myrddin and Maurice was related to Aurelius Ambrosius, who was an emperor of the Roman Empire. Now, Myrddin and Maurice was said to have come from no mortal father. And this reminds us of the whole Christos myth, that there was no mortal father that gave birth to this person. For the Christians, it would be Jesus. For this myth, it is Merlin. It is the symbol of Merlin. Now, Vortigern is working on building a tower over this specific area, Dinas Emrys. And every day they would work on the foundation, get it all set up. Now, sometime during the night, by the time they woke up, not a single stone was on top of another. It was completely wiped out. All the previous day's work was for naught. Now, this continued to happen. So Vortigern goes to his druids, to his wise men, his wit and counsel, so to speak, and asks, what can we do to appease the spirit of this area to allow us to build this tower? And so these wise ones come together and tell Vortigern, only through the blood of a man who has no mortal father will bless this area to allow the tower to be built. So, of course, the no man with a mortal father in this story happens to be Myrddin Emrys. And he is brought before Vortigern and basically told, what's going to go on. It's basically, this is what's happening. The towers keep falling. I want to build it. My druids sit there and say that only your blood is going to sanctify the spirit, pacify it, and allow me to build my tower. Now, Myrddin Emrys was very wise for his young age. And he had the gift of the sight. And what the sight told him is that underneath this area, underneath this hill, Dinas Emrys, lie two dragons, a red dragon and a white dragon. And every night they're turning and mixing and stuff in this area. And that basically you had to set them free to release them so that then the tower can go ahead and do its thing. Now, mind you, there's a lot of other mythic references and stuff that go deeper, and at another time in one of my other videos, I will go into the story of Mirth and Emrys in depth. But the reason I bring this up is that the tower kept on being brought down by a divine or a primeval force. And so this brings us back to the rest of the cards because of the fact that those seeds, those gifts in the cups, those seeds that are waiting to be planted, may not exactly turn out how you want it to be. Many, many of you are putting your money into the very wrong aspects. You're putting in areas where you're going to reap the less amount of reward. And I feel very strongly that I need to get this out there. Be mindful of your finances because you do not know what the future holds. And I have a feeling, and I'm going to draw another card right now to confirm or deny this. It's going to come due with something in one's family. Now, I don't know if this is specifically for one specific person. I don't know if this is going to be for a general group, but I am saying that there is going to be an issue with a family member that is going to throw your finances completely off kilter. I don't know who that's for, and I don't want to be alarmist, but I just felt I needed to express this to the audience or to whoever might come upon this video at a future date. Look towards your families. Be mindful of where you're spending your money. And I ask you to be careful what you wish for you may just actually get it. Now, for those who don't know, every Friday, I go ahead and I do a video with a particular group of people. These would be my Patreons on Patreon. And for you guys, as always, I give a shout out to you, to VJ, to Jill, to Elaine, Ungod, and our newest patron, Dwayne. You are my rock guys. Thank you for your support. And if you would like to continue helping this ministry, you can go to my website at revadamhayden.com. On Sundays, I run a special show called A Dragon's Voice with yours truly, Reverend Adam Hayden. And on those days, I cover things of the fairy tradition, the tradition that draws back influences from the Paleolithic and the Neolithic times. This predates most Indo-European concepts. And if you wish to learn more about fairy traditionalism, what my view is of it, or more information about such things as the Oath of Belonging, such things as the Book of Ankara Gwyn, this is where I do something for the public. I bring forth what I've learned in this tradition, and I put it into an easy to understand idea for those who go ahead and watch those videos. Now, I hope you were all well. I hope you are all safe. And may you have a merry, blessed be.